I had a baby a few weeks ago, and we just started allowing certain people to visit. My mom and sister and her newborn did 4 days ago for the first time, and my mother-in-law was due to arrive the next day to stay with us for a week. My mother-in-law lives a 16-hour driving distance from us in Canada, so she had to get a passport. She called us the day she was supposed to arrive and said she had to stop off and sleep and that she wouldn't make it on the original ETA. No big deal. She shows up the next day at 10 a.m. Now the issue is that she brought her 2 granddaughters with her. My husband's nieces, both tweens. Not only was this never discussed, she didn't even hint toward it, but one of the nieces in question is someone we no longer allow around our other children due to severe bullying, and my mother-in-law is fully aware of it. We have no contact with this girl's mother as well because she defended her daughter after she punched our 5-year-old son in the face last year at a family barbecue because he wouldn't give her the squirt gun. That was hers, but that's beside the point. So we have no contact with this girl or her mom. And again, mother-in-law knows this. The other niece is fine. I actually really liked the girl. But to further exceed idiot limits, I allowed the other niece to come inside and meet the baby, and I made mother-in-law and the bully niece stay outside while she did so. My husband was 100% on my side. He was actually livid and considered allowing the nice niece to stay for a week and just put her on a plane back home. But ultimately her mama didn't feel comfortable with unattended travel. I don't blame her, so she ended up going back home when we told mother-in-law to leave. We did not let mother-in-law or the bully see the baby. We are being called every name in the book by several family members. The sister-in-law we are in no contact with is soiling our name by saying we've wasted mother-in-law's time and are wrongly punishing her child. Says we need to get over it. My brother-in-law says we're ignorant because my mother-in-law purchased hers and her 2 granddaughters' passports, so wasted money and time. The other sister-in-law, nice niece's mama, is on our side. As mother-in-law lied to her and said she told us the girls were coming when she didn't. Am I the idea for letting the nice niece meet our baby, but making mother-in-law and the bully niece stay in the car and then kicking them off our property after she drove 16 hours? Edit. The niece was 1 year younger when she punched my son. He had the squirt toy. She wanted it. And he said to wait her turn. She punched him, bloodied his nose and knocked him on his butt. A mom blamed it on ADHD and lack of impulse control. They told me to get over it because kids will be kids, basically, and said my son should reach giving the toy out because it was hers and she asked for it. Mother-in-law does know how strongly we feel about keeping this kid away from us as it's been discussed multiple times. But mother-in-law is a people-pleaser with deep-rooted family values that make her brush everything under the rug. Mother-in-law said niece is just a kid and asked to see the baby. She didn't think it would be a big deal. Well, now she knows it's a big deal. Bringing 2 kids around a new baby for a week without even asking permission is completely inconsiderate. She sounds entitled. Of course, the bully's mom is against you. Who cares, is your baby in home? I'm proud your husband had your back on this. Good teamwork. Absolutely the easiest, not the idiot I've ever given. None of the blame for this situation falls on you and all of it on grandma. I'm sure bully mom was probably counting on that solid week, kid-free, and someone else's headache. Counting on that me time really hard while sticking it to people who don't want anything to do with her or her horrible kid. Mother-in-law knew it would be a big deal. Otherwise, she would have said she was bringing the nieces. She avoided using plurals when discussing the trip so you wouldn't ask who else was coming. She thought if she showed up with the niece, she could force your hand and make you rug sweep the bullying. This is a situation that never ever should have occurred. All of the parents of those girls are absolutely insane. Who sends their child on a 16-hour cross-country road trip without calling the people whose home they're going to discuss the plan first? They're neglectful and rude. This was intended to stomp your boundaries while you were most vulnerable. Consider permanent no contact with this woman and everybody criticizing you. It's even worse when you factor in They got the kids' passports just for this trip, meaning mother-in-law had been planning to bring them for quite some time. Leaving aside the previous family drama, who the heck shows up to stay for any length of time with uninvited guests in tow? Then add in that they're children who need supervision. Then add in that the hosts have a new baby, your children, your house, your rules. I can guarantee she would have expected you to watch the girls while she bonded with the baby. 30s female got married to my house. 30 is this July. Our wedding theme was fairy court. We only invited close family and friends and asked that they wear jewel-tone dresses and suit jackets. The wedding was in the sort of forest. We also took photos with almost everyone, not just the wedding party, which only consisted of a best man and a maid of honor. My sister-in-law, mid-20s, shows up in a blush pink dress and a boyfriend in a cream suit jacket. She thought that that would make her pop, I guess. She's an attention seeker by testimony of everyone, but her mom, the joke was on her. My dress was golden shimmery, and my husband was in an emerald green jacket. Also, I was wearing a full-on crown. No mistaking who the bride was. When the photographer asked me if she should Photoshop them a bit to make them blend in more, since we went with a dramatic photo style that emphasized the deep jewel tones and the darkness of the forest, I told her not to bother make them look nice, but don't change the colors or anything like that. Well, I received the photos 4 days ago. I boast some on my Instagram or most on Facebook since most of our older relatives use it exclusively, and they, sister-in-law and boyfriend, look so out of place they were almost washed out. Then she had the nerve to comment on my post. It was very passive-aggressive, something along the lines of washing her out to make myself stand out more. I replied by saying that she washed herself out by ignoring the wedding theme. She deleted her comment. But then, we met last night in my in-laws. It was an accident, not planned or anything. She said pretty much the same thing. I repeated that she was washed out because the photo star we chose emphasized deep colors. That's why we asked people to wear jewel tones. It escalated and ended up with me telling her that she looked like crap in our photos. Her complaint because she was a jealous little woman who thought she could upstage me in a $30 dress, the color of diluted Pepto. She started crying and left. Now my mother-in-law says I owe my sister-in-law an apology for publicly shaming her and insulting her looks. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot she messed around and found out. Sister-in-law and her boyfriend tried upstaging you and your husband at your wedding. The photographer offered to Photoshop them and you refused because the photos remain honest. You didn't do anything wrong. Don't apologize to what appears to be the golden child. She'll eventually stop talking to you altogether, so that's a win-win. Congratulations on your wedding. Everyone's the idiot here. All of you adults are remind you. You will not have anything real to worry about. Why is everyone making a big deal of such petty details for something that was meant to be a big, happy occasion? Collectively move the fae on. Both of you need calm the egos, and you need to remember what the day is supposed to be about. A celebration of marriage, not a meltdown over a dress. You owe each other an apology. No winners here. Oh, I disagree. Hope he didn't melt down over address. As far as we know, they said nothing to the sister-in-law about what she wore until she pointed out that she looked bad in the pictures. Sister-in-law planned to draw attention to her with her pinky blue dress and her boyfriend in off-white. Instead, she and her boyfriend looked washed out and out of place. Her plan not only didn't make her look like the coolest thing ever, she looked foolish. She chose what to wear, knowing full well what the theme was and what people were asked to wear. Girl's lucky she didn't get the old red wine treatment. I have 3-step kits, male tween, female tween, male pre-tween who are damn good kids. I've been involved with them for 6 years now. And while they've been up and downs, I get along with all of them really well. Generally speaking, I get along with their mother, but this issue is dividing everyone. I gave birth to a baby girl a few weeks ago. In the beginning, I fully expected the overbearing behavior, but after multiple talks and explanations, I'm at my wit's end. So basically, whenever I'm breastfeeding the baby, My stepkids are either trying to hug her or kiss her or right down at my tit level and talking to her. Almost every single feeding. They refuse to leave the baby alone when I'm nursing, despite me voicing several times how uncomfortable it makes me feel that I have 4 kids hanging off of me when I'm trying to breastfeed. Or when she's taking a nap, they will go in and touch her and play with her feet or rub her head and immediately wake her up. So then she's cranky from a complete lack of sleep. And again, no matter how often I explain to the kids and my husband that they need to stop and why, they continue to do it. And they're always so loud about it too. Whenever they talk to her, it's basically them screaming, like if she starts to fuss, they're immediately right down in a face saying, "Hey, you stop that right now." I'm getting nauseous. I barely eat because this entire environment is making me sick to my stomach. I'm overwhelmingly uncomfortable around my husband and stepkids because they don't listen or even care to listen. So this morning, I just gotten the baby down and the youngest stepkid woke her up by screaming. Then after she starts crying, all 3 of the kids come running in, on her in her face, and won't move for me to pick her up and calm her. Then I went to nurse 10 minutes later, and my stepdaughter came in and rested her head on my arm, touching the baby. I just got up and packed. I told my husband I wouldn't be staying with him and his kids as long as the baby is still small because I can't handle them and their lack of boundaries. Both he and the stepkid's mother are saying I'm an idiot because the kids are just excited, and I'm taking this experience away from them by being greedy and weird. I'm just damn tired. I'm staying at a hotel until further notice. Am I the idiot? Staying at a hotel isn't gonna solve the problem long term. Your husband needs to sit his kids down and tell them that they are absolutely not allowed to bother you while you're breastfeeding. They are not to bother the baby while she's sleeping, and they need to not yell in. Listen, then consider leaving permanently because you'll never be respected. I had to go back and recheck the ages of kids because that sounds like preschooler behavior. They're way too old for this BS. I was 9 when my sister was born, and my brother was 6. We absolutely understood, don't wake the baby, and don't bother her while she's eating. It's such a simple rule. Man, I was 4 when my younger sister was born, and even I understood full well to leave the baby alone, and not to mess with them while they're eating, or this is absolutely a parenting failure on Dad's part. And who the heck tries to calm a newborn by talking to them? Your husband knows that's illogical unless he was completely not involved in the care of his first 3. The newborn isn't a toy. She's a living being with needs like sleep. Get her some place where her needs can be met, and yours too. And your husband's X is exactly 0, say, in how you, run your household and be care for your baby. Not the idiot, but I doubt this whole relationship is sustainable. I, a female team, have been on a diet for the last 6 months. I only eat low-calorie foods and food and drinks marketed as diet or healthy food. Although they might be a bit of a scam, but whatever. I went to the fridge to get my salad and it wasn't there. Along with a few other things of mine. I asked my mom about it, and she said she threw away all of my food because she didn't want me dieting anymore. We got into a big fight, and I called her controlling, and she was really upset and said she was trying to help me, and I didn't appreciate her help. I don't understand what she's talking about. I don't get what the problem is with wanting to be healthy and actually looking after my body. She's told me before that she doesn't think I'm eating enough, then she takes away my food. Like, actually, what the heck? It's so annoying too because I don't want to eat high-calorie unhealthy crap, and that's like most of what we have at home. So I have to spend money on getting my food again, but I honestly don't trust it not to get rid of it all again. My dad said I really upset her, and he's gone angry at me now too. My mom has barely spoken to me, and my dad keeps telling me that I was cruel and to apologize to her. I don't know if I'm wrong. I thought it was normal not to be happy when someone gets rid of your food. So am I the idiot? I'm 5'5" and 105 pounds. Used to be 136 pounds. My goal is 95 pounds. You are the idiot. You're 5'5" and 105 pounds saying your goal is 95 pounds. Your mom is trying to save your life. As a teen, you are still physically and mentally developing. Staffing yourself will do permanent damage and lock you into the cycles of an eating disorder. You need to get with an experienced nutritionist and therapist to help undo the very dangerous thought patterns you've developed. Your mom is trying to save your life. So the best way to do so is to throw away her food and not talk about it. What a way to raise a teenager. If anyone is the idiot in this case, the mom, not for wanting the best for her child, but for the way she did. It speaks volumes about how she raises her daughter. Mom's actions aren't going to save her life. They'll push her more to stop eating altogether. Everyone's the idiot here. You shouldn't be on diets at your age unless you're being supervised by a professional. Let's start there. And, yes, many diet products are a scam. And I'd like to add that many low-calorie products are actually less healthy than their full-sugar counterparts. Is your mother controlling, though? She should have dealt with the situation in a different way, expressing her concerns to you before acting out like that. And your father is only entitled to be mad at you if he was present during your fight with your mom. Otherwise, he's the idiot for blindly using your mom's side and not hearing your version of the story. I, 25 female, have a daughter pre-tween. I had her when I was young and her father was never in the picture. My older sister, 34, and her husband, 39, have helped me a lot. Raising my daughter alone and going to college would have been impossible without them. My sister is a stay-at-home mom, and my brother-in-law is quite wealthy due to his family business. They pay for my daughter to go to the same private school as their kids, male tween, female pre-tween, and female young grammar schooler. It's very expensive. But my brother-in-law can afford it, and I'm very grateful to them for giving my daughter more opportunities. I recently got married, and my husband, 36, has 3 daughters, tween, pre-tween, and younger pre-tween. They go to our local public school, which is good, but not as good as my daughter's private school. Last night, he told me that he thinks it isn't fair that my daughter goes to a $40,000 a year private school, while his daughters have to go to public school. He said the next year, I need to either send my daughter to public school or ask my brother-in-law to pay for his daughters to go to private school. I told him that I wasn't doing that because I wanted my daughter to have all the opportunities I didn't have. I went to a crappy in a city public school, and my brother-in-law couldn't afford to send 7 kids to private school. He got mad at me and said that our kids are siblings now, and everything needs to be equal between them. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This is the kind of thing your husband should have mentioned before the two of you married. Something about the phrase "the kids are siblings, and everything needs to be equal between them," is throwing up red flags for me. Even between full siblings, things aren't equal. You can aim for fairness, but you can't ever achieve equal. Like, think about trying to spend equal amounts of money on 2 different children for Christmas gifts. It's impossible. So I think my feeling is that to convince your brother-in-law to pay for my kids' school could be part of a bigger issue with money and entitlement. For instance, if you join finances, it's your income being spent on your husband and his kids. Are you being expected to take on the majority of childcare? Basically, is he taking advantage of you? I wonder if everyone in Elpie's family had concerns about this guy before she married him, before knowing anything about a man my 25-year-old daughter was with. I'd have concerns over the fact he's 36. I couldn't imagine that 36, even considering someone as young as she is, he married a nanny. And if his 3 children are expressing this kind of resentment, he should be using this moment to cure them of this entitlement, not acting like it's justified. If one of his kids wins the scholarship to college and the others don't, will that child be expected to turn it down? If one gets a great paying job, should they split that 6 ways? Your husband has to step up as a father and explain the other in this life will get a different handout to them, even between family members, and you can't always get the same as your siblings or step-siblings get.